Going on, forums, Dr. Deviate. This is the first video in a new series called Coffee with the Doctor. I have mine. Today's discussion is going to be engine oil and how you may be inadvertently killing your engine with all the best intentions. Stick around and I'll explain to you how. There's a thing in the US called API rating. Other countries have their own rating, okay? API ratings are ratings that are developed according to the different types of additives and detergents that are in your oil, okay? As of the recording of this video today, the latest and greatest out there is SN Plus, okay? When you open up the manual on my 23 Hayabusa, we have 23 now, okay? It says under the oil section, use SJSL only, API SJSL only, okay? Not SN Plus. Now, to give you some context here, SJSL, okay? SJ first came out in 1996, and then SJ and SL ran all the way to 2004, okay? Then you had SM, SN, SN Plus, all right? So this was an oil from many years ago, and Suzuki's telling me that's the only two API ratings I could run in this bike. Well, why would that be? Why would we use the latest and greatest full synthetic racing oils out there? Well, the short answer is additives, okay? As technology advances, oil must advance along with it. So that way, you know, these new engines with these high-tech catalytic converters, high-tech catalytic converters and Euro 3 emissions, okay, got to make sure that these oils don't have additives in them that are gumming and ruining these systems that are in these bikes, okay? So what they're doing is they're removing stuff like zinc, okay? And they're changing the detergents to now a calcium-based detergent. All this is bad for your Hayabusa, no matter what generation you have, okay? The Hayabusa motor hasn't changed much over the years. From Gen 1 to Gen 2, yes, it went up 40, cc. And then from Gen 2 to Gen 3, it got some little revisions on oil passages and, little things like that. I'm talking about the internal workings of the motor, not the throttle bodies and that kind of stuff, okay? We're talking about crank cams and that kind of stuff. So the engines haven't really changed much in the 3 generations, all right? And I'm kind of happy with that because a Busa is a Busa. I want it to feel like a Busa, okay? Because of that, we need to run an engine oil that has an older API rating, okay? Now, open up your manual on any motorcycle you may have. Maybe you don't own a Busa. Open up your manual, go to the oil change section. There'll be a place in it that'll tell you minimum API rating and along with other country ratings as well, okay? When you look at oil, go find whatever brand you're loyal to. It doesn't matter, okay? Whatever brand you're loyal to, look at that oil, that motorcycle oil. And then there should be a round badge and it will say, SAE, 10W40, and it'll say API, and it'll have SJSL, SN Plus, whatever API is on there, okay? Now, this is important because SJ and SL have zinc, and zinc is kind of a pillow, all right? It's kind of a cushion for your bearing-to-bearing action, okay? So engines that tend to be hit and hammered hard, they put a lot of zinc into these oils so that these engines live longer, okay? Your Hayabusa is no different. It needs this zinc additive. And if you're putting SN Plus oil in it, you're doing it a great injustice. You're pulling all that zinc out of this oil that this bike needs, okay? And that just means that you have a potential for excessive bearing wear, cam wear, that kind of stuff, okay? It doesn't mean your bike's going to go out there and just blow up. At least I would hope not, okay? From my background in mechanics. It just means that it could prematurely wear these parts out, okay? That's why doing an oil change is one of the most important things you can do to your bike, and so many people just overlook it. They just don't put no thought in it. Oh, I like that Mobil 1 T4R racing oil. You know, it's the latest and greatest, man. It's got to be good. No, it's SN. It's going to be bad for your Busa motor, okay? So, like I said, open your manual, look at your API rating. It's going to tell you what API rating you need. Verify that on your engine oil of choice, whatever brand you choose, okay? Make sure it's a motorcycle engine oil, and then make sure that it has the badge and it says API rating, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it'll say SJ, SL, SN, SN plus, whatever. And then it'll say SAE, and then it'll say, 10W40, whatever, okay? I'm not going to get into the rest of that stuff. All we're talking about is API. Because as long as you get API right, you've got a better chance. It doesn't matter. I mean, the other stuff matters, but not nearly as much as API, okay? Give these engines what the engineers designed them to have. They got to have the zinc. Make sure you're putting it in that bike, okay? Because that engineer in Japan, he designed this engine to live with zinc in it. And if you take the zinc out of it and start putting calcium detergents in it, you could prematurely kill this motor, all right? And that's it, guys. That is absolutely it. There's there's not much more to talk about. Like I said, brand loyalty don't really matter to me. All right, they all have to meet this standard or exceed it. Okay, and they're all any of them that say API, SJSF, they all meet that standard. Okay, whether it's synthetic blend, full synthetic, Valvoline, Mobil 1, Castro, it don't matter. Okay, whatever brand you're loyal to, stick to that brand. Okay, I'm not here to convince you to try another brand. I'm just here to make sure that you pick the right oil for your bike from that particular brand that you're loyal to. All right, me, I'm loyal to my wallet. Okay, so I run a full synthetic SL oil from Valvoline. That's $9.99 a quart from Walmart. This is a full sport bike oil for wet clutches that is API SL, and it's $9.99 a quart. You're meeting the minimum requirements for that bike, and she should live a long, happy life. All right? That's it. That's the bottom line. Okay? If you want to spend more money, spend more money. Okay? Me personally, I like to spend money on upgrades, not on engine oil. All right? So I do run a full synthetic because I like full synthetic oil, especially here in Texas. It's hot. All right? And we can't split lanes, so my bike could be on the side of the road toasting for quite a long time. All right? So I run a full synthetic wet clutch motorcycle oil that has an API rating of SL. All right? I have done everything that Suzuki has outlined me to do in my manual. All right. And I spend $9.99 a quart. It's fantastic. All right. So, hey, if you don't want to do that, that's fine, guys. But the option's out there. Whatever you choose, all I'm saying is pick the correct API rating. All right, because they're pulling, SN, SN plus. They don't have zinc in them. They're pulling all the zinc out, and they're pulling out the different detergents, and they're going over to a calcium-based detergent. Okay, I'm going to post a link to a video in the description below from a guy who works with Summit Racing, and he's going to explain in depth more about engine oils. Okay, but one of the misconceptions that people think is when they look at these API rating charts, it's based on year. If your car is, 2010 to 2021, you should be running these or this as API rating. That's not always true, guys. Suzuki has just proved it to us. All right. I got a 23 model bike that runs around a 1989 or 1998 oil. I'm sorry. What was that? It was a 1996 to 2004 oil. That's quite a long time ago. That's because this particular motor has that technology in it, and so it needs the additives from that era into this motor. Okay, SN SN plus not so much backwards compatible. Now your SJs and SLs back in the day that Suzuki uses, those were kind of backwards compatible. You could use those oils even in 1921, cars and stuff like that for the most part. But as time has advanced and with the new missions and the new systems, these new oils are not becoming backwards compatible anymore. That's something that we need to be aware of, okay? There's not a lot of discussion about this. Nobody's really explaining it well. And I want to give my viewers, all the information needed to make sure that they're making good decisions, guys. With that being said, stay upright, be safe, and peace.